Hello everyone, my name is Jordan and today I'm going to be doing my fall TBR. I know September is almost over, but I just started my channel. But I want to do seasonal TBRs instead of monthly TBRs because I'm very much a mood reader, and I think if I try to plan out every book I'm going to read every month, I'm just not going to follow through on it. So I think seasonal ones are going to work best for me, pick 5 to 10-ish books to read for, the next 3 months, and then I can fill in with other books that I'm feeling. It's really just a general, what am I thinking I'm most excited to read recently? Kind of what a TBR is. It doesn't have to be a concrete thing, and it's just kind of an excuse to talk about books that we're excited for. I didn't specifically pick out books that I thought were spooky or fall, but some of them kind of are, so maybe it's kind of is what I am in the mood for, I guess. The first book is Empire of the Vampire. I'm already reading this. I mentioned in my first video, my new to booktube video, that I was going to be reading this one next, and I've already started it now. So I'm very excited. Love J. Kristoff. This is an adult fantasy vampires. Follow a guy, Gabriel de Leon. He is a silver saint, which is basically he's half vampire, half human, and these guys fight vampires, and they actually are on the side of humanity. Basically, he's like the last silver saint, and he's been caught by a vampire, and this vampire wants him to tell his story so that this vampire can write it down and basically have this piece of history of this guy's life, because apparently he's very famous and very good at what he does, so he wants to write his story down. So then we kind of go back in time to where it all started and learn about Gabriel de Leon when he first finds out what he is and what that all entails. So I'm only 100 pages in. So far, I'm loving it, and I can't wait to see how this story progresses. And yeah. The next book on my TBR is Lair of Dreams by Libba Bray. This is the sequel to The Diviners. This is a 1920s historical fiction, sort of supernatural mystery, or at least the first one was. I know I started the second one a while ago, and then, I don't know, reading slump. I never finished it. So I'm really excited to get back into this series. Like I said, the first one is we follow a young girl. She's got some, supernatural powers of some sort. She moves into New York City where her uncle lives, and he kind of has this museum of occult stuff, so he's already very familiar with the occult and all things supernatural, and she helps solves a murder or something. It's kind of been a while. I'm sure most people already know what the series is about anyways, so I'm excited to continue on this series because I did really love the first one. So hopefully I can get to this one soon. The next book I have is The Bone Witch by Rin Chupeco. And this is a book I've heard a lot about. I've been wanting to read it for a long time. This is about a necromancer, I think is what it is. We follow witches, obviously the Bone Witch, and on the front it says, "Let me be clear, I never intended to raise my brother from his grave." So obviously our main character tries to raise the dead in this book, hence necromancy. I've heard really good things. I've been wanting to read it, and I love books about witches, so really excited to finally get to this one. The next book I got is A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. This is like dark academia. I believe it's a school for magic of some sort. I don't really know what it's about. I believe I got this edition through Owl Crate? Or no, Book Owl. Wait, what are they called? Not Owl. Yeah, Owl Crate. But I've been hearing a lot of good things about this book, and I've read 2 of Naomi Novik's other books, Uprooted and Spinning Silver, and I really enjoyed both of those books, so I'm excited to see what her next book has to offer. The next book on my list is The Nature of Witches by Rachel Griffin. This is another YA book about witches, but I've heard, once again, really good things about this as well. Perfect for the season, and this is supposed to be, or at least our main character has the ability to control, or her magic has something to do with the seasons, and I guess like things are going crazy, haywire. I believe she's having trouble controlling her magic, and I believe she falls in love with the guy who is training her or something like that. Yeah, in spring she falls for Sang, the witch training her. As her magic grows, so do her feelings for him, until she's terrified Sang will be the next one she loses. So, I don't know. Sounds interesting. I'm excited to read it. Then I've got a sequel, and that is The Devil's Thief by Lisa Maxwell. This is the sequel to The Last Magician. I read the first book like the end of August, so not all that long ago. Really loved it. This is another like historical fantasy, a little bit of time travel. Our main character actually goes back in time to, I believe, 1920s. This book takes place in New York, and there's kind of like this magical barrier keeping people with magic inside, so they cannot leave the city. There's this order that's against magic and that tries to, well, they're the ones who put this circle around the city, or this barrier around the city. They have this book that she's after, so she ends up, our main character ends up, like I said, going back in time, inserting herself into this group of magus is what they call like people with real magic. So she kind of inserts herself into this team of them that are trying to steal this book, but really she's like double-crossing them and trying to steal the book for herself and take it back to the future. So it's really good. It's really interesting. There's a lot of people on different sides all trying to kind of work for themselves to get this book. The first book in the series was really good, and I really can't wait to get to this one. Then the last book I have on my list, I don't actually own it yet. It is the the Hex X, something like that. I'm sure you guys have all heard of it. I don't remember the author's name, but this book is on the way. This was my book of the month pick that I chose this month, so I am going to try to read that whenever it comes, or it's probably will be like a really good book to read after Empire of the Vampire, just because Empire of the Vampire I'm sure is going to be very dark and bloody, and Jay Kristoff will probably kill off all my favorite characters. So I'll probably need something a little light and fluffy to pick up after Empire of the Vampire, so maybe we'll see how I'm feeling. But yeah, those are all the books I plan to read in the next 2 months. Let me know down below in the comments if you have read any of these, if you're excited to read any of these. I want to know all your thoughts, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye!